What if I told you that one of the most powerful tools for fighting belly fat, the dangerous kind that wraps around your organs and raises your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer, costs less than a cup of coffee? And what if I told you that you can find it at your local Kroger? I'm Dr. Judy Byington Therapy. I'm a physician and scientist who trained at Harvard and MIT, and I've spent decades researching how the foods we eat affect our biology at the deepest level, including how certain everyday groceries can actually shrink visceral fat, the stubborn belly fat that becomes harder and harder to lose after the age of 60. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I would personally put in my shopping cart at Kroger. 5 items, all for under $10, that together form one of the most effective belly fat fighting breakfast plans you can follow for an entire week. This isn't a fad diet. There's no expensive supplement, no meal kit subscription, and no complicated recipe involved. This is food science, backed by real research from institutions like Tufts University, Harvard, and the National Institutes of Health. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll have a complete 7-day breakfast plan, a clear shopping list, and the science to understand exactly why it works. Let's go. Before we walk through the Kroger aisles together, I want to spend a few minutes explaining something that most people over 60 don't realize, something that completely changes how you should think about your morning meal. Here's the key biological fact. Your cortisol level, that's your primary stress hormone, is at its absolute peak within the first hour after you wake up. Now, cortisol isn't inherently bad. In the morning, it's actually doing important work. It's mobilizing your energy reserves, sharpening your mental focus, and preparing your body for the day ahead. But here's where it gets important for belly fat. Cortisol also directly influences how your body handles insulin, the hormone that controls whether the food you eat gets burned as fuel or stored as fat. When cortisol is high, your cells become temporarily less responsive to insulin. Researchers call this morning insulin resistance. And if you eat the wrong breakfast during that window, or skip breakfast entirely, you send your blood sugar on a roller coaster that can promote fat storage around your midsection for the rest of the day. Research published in the journal Obesity found that adults who consumed the majority of their daily calories earlier in the day, starting with a nutrient-dense breakfast, had significantly lower fasting insulin levels and reduced belly fat compared to those who ate lightly in the morning and more heavily at night. And this effect was even more pronounced in adults over 55. Now, I see 2 common mistakes that people over 60 tend to make with breakfast. The first mistake is skipping it altogether. I hear this often. Dr. Lee, I'm just not hungry in the morning. I understand that, but skipping breakfast doesn't actually help your body burn fat. What it does is spike your cortisol further, increase hunger hormones by mid-morning, and set you up for poor food choices later in the day. The second mistake, and this one is equally common, is reaching for packaged breakfast cereals or flavored instant oatmeal. These products are often marketed as heart healthy or whole grain, but many of them contain 15 to 25 grams of added sugar per serving. That's a direct insulin spike, right in that vulnerable morning window, when your cells are already less sensitive to insulin. So what should you eat instead? That's exactly what we're going to talk about right now. Let me show you what I would put in my cart at Kroger. 5 items under $10 that work with your biology instead of against it. The first item I'm reaching for is right here in the dairy aisle, a simple carton of large eggs. Kroger's own brand, 12 count, usually runs about $2.49. And I want to spend a few minutes on this one because eggs might be the most misunderstood food in America when it comes to belly fat. For decades, we were told to avoid eggs, or at least the yolks, because of cholesterol concerns. But the science has moved significantly on this. What the research now clearly shows is that whole eggs are one of the most nutrient-dense, belly fat-fighting foods available at any price point. Here's why. Eggs are one of the richest dietary sources of a nutrient called choline. Most people have never heard of choline, but it plays a crucial role in how your body processes and transports fat, particularly in the liver. When your liver can't efficiently package and export fat, it accumulates there, contributing to what's called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is directly linked to increased visceral fat deposition throughout the abdomen. Researchers at the University of North Carolina found that adequate choline intake was associated with significantly lower body mass and reduced liver fat accumulation. And adults over 60 are actually at higher risk for choline deficiency because our body's ability to synthesize it internally declines with age. But the benefits of eggs don't stop there. One large egg contains about 6 grams of high-quality complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient we have. Studies show that eating 2 eggs at breakfast reduces total caloric intake for the rest of the day by up to 400 calories, compared to eating a bagel with the same number of calories. That's because protein suppresses ghrelin, your hunger hormone, far more effectively than carbohydrates or fat. For people over 60, protein at breakfast is especially important for another reason: muscle preservation. After 60, we naturally begin to lose muscle mass at an accelerating rate, a process called sarcopenia. And muscle mass is one of the primary drivers of your resting metabolic rate. The more muscle you maintain, the more calories your body burns at rest, even while you're sitting in your favorite chair. 2 eggs in the morning, scrambled, poached, or hard-boiled, give you 12 grams of high-quality protein, critical choline, and healthy fats that keep you full and focused until lunch. Kroger tip: the Kroger brand large eggs are nutritionally identical to name brands at half the price. If your store carries cage-free or pasture-raised options within your budget, the omega-3 content tends to be slightly higher, but the standard large eggs work beautifully for this plan. The next item I'm heading to the frozen aisle for, and I want you to resist the temptation to walk past this section: frozen blueberries. Specifically, I'm looking for Kroger's Simple Truth brand, 12 ounces, for about $2.99. Now, fresh blueberries are wonderful, but I actually recommend frozen for this plan, and here's the science behind that recommendation. Blueberries are frozen at peak ripeness, which means the nutritional content, particularly the antioxidants, is often higher in frozen than in fresh blueberries that have been sitting in transit or on a shelf for days. And those antioxidants are what we're really after. Blueberries are one of the richest known dietary sources of compounds called anthocyanins, the pigments that give them their deep blue-purple color. Anthocyanins are not just pretty. They are metabolically active compounds that have been studied extensively for their effects on visceral fat. In a landmark study from Tufts University, researchers found that rats fed a high-fat diet supplemented with blueberry powder had significantly less abdominal fat than control animals, and the researchers identified anthocyanin activity as a key mechanism. Follow-up human trials have shown similar promise. Participants consuming blueberries daily for several weeks showed reductions in waist circumference, fasting blood glucose, and markers of systemic inflammation. Why does inflammation matter for belly fat? Because chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind that silently smolders in most Americans over 60, directly promotes fat storage around the abdomen. It's a two-way relationship. Visceral fat secretes inflammatory compounds called cytokines, which in turn make it harder to lose that fat. Breaking that cycle requires reducing inflammation from the inside, and that's exactly what anthocyanins do. 1 cup of frozen blueberries, about 150 grams, delivers roughly 300 milligrams of anthocyanins, along with fiber, vitamin C, and manganese. At under $3 for 12 ounces, you're getting a full week's worth of morning servings. How to use them? No cooking required. Pull them out of the freezer the night before, let them thaw in a bowl in the refrigerator, and they're ready to eat with your eggs or on top of your oatmeal in the morning. The thawing process actually releases more of the anthocyanins into the juice, so don't discard that dark liquid in the bowl. Pour it right over your oats. Item 3 is right here in the cereal aisle, but we're walking past the colorful boxes and going straight for the plain oats. Kroger brand old-fashioned rolled oats, 42 ounces, for about $1.89. This single container will last you several weeks, and I want to be very specific here. Old-fashioned oats, not instant oats, and absolutely not the flavored instant oat packets. I'll explain exactly why in a few minutes when we talk about what to avoid. But for now, let's focus on why the right kind of oats are one of the most powerful belly fat foods in this entire list. The key compound in oats is a soluble fiber called beta-glucan. Beta-glucan is remarkable in its effects on the human body. When you eat it, it dissolves in your digestive tract to form a thick gel, and that gel does several important things simultaneously. First, it dramatically slows the absorption of glucose into your bloodstream. Instead of a sharp insulin spike after eating, you get a slow, steady rise and fall in blood sugar. For people over 60 who are statistically at elevated risk for prediabetes and insulin resistance, this is enormously valuable. Second, beta-glucan is a prebiotic. It feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut. And emerging research is showing just how important gut microbiome health is for body weight and abdominal fat. Studies published in the journal Gut found that people with more diverse gut bacteria had lower amounts of visceral fat, even after controlling for diet and exercise. Third, and this one surprises people, oats contain a class of antioxidants called avenanthramides that are unique to oats and have been shown to reduce inflammatory markers in the bloodstream. Remember what I said about inflammation and visceral fat? Oats are helping fight that cycle too. A half cup of dry old-fashioned oats cooked with water gives you about 4 grams of beta-glucan fiber, which meets the daily threshold shown in research to produce measurable cholesterol-lowering effects, along with 5 grams of protein and a slow-burning energy source that keeps you satisfied for hours. Kroger tip. The Kroger store brand oats are identically sourced to most name brands at about half the cost. The fiber content is the same. Skip the individual packets. They're expensive, lower in fiber, and often loaded with added sugar and artificial flavoring. Item number 4 is one that surprises a lot of my patients when I first recommend it, and I understand the skepticism. Peanut butter for belly fat loss? It sounds counterintuitive, but stay with me because the science here is genuinely fascinating. I'm reaching for the Simple Truth Natural Peanut Butter from Kroger, 16 ounces for about $2.29. And the word natural matters here. Turn the jar over and look at the ingredient list. It should read peanuts and possibly salt. That's it. If you see partially hydrogenated oils, corn syrup, or sugar listed, put it back and look for the one with just peanuts. Here's why natural peanut butter earns its place in this plan. Peanut butter is one of the most effective foods for suppressing ghrelin, the hormone I mentioned earlier that drives hunger. In a study from the University of Florida, participants who ate peanut butter or peanuts at breakfast reported significantly lower hunger ratings for up to 2.5 hours longer than those who ate the same calories from other foods. That means fewer cravings, less snacking, and lower total calorie intake across the day, all without feeling deprived. But there's more. The fat in natural peanut butter is primarily monounsaturated fat, the same type found in olive oil that researchers consistently associate with reduced visceral fat accumulation. One study, published in the journal Diabetes Care, found that substituting monounsaturated fat for saturated fat in the diet led to a specific reduction in abdominal fat, even when total caloric intake remained the same. Peanut butter also delivers about 8 grams of protein per 2 tablespoon serving, along with magnesium, a mineral that over 68% of Americans are deficient in, and that plays a direct role in insulin sensitivity and blood sugar regulation. How to use it in the morning. 1 to 2 tablespoons stirred into your oatmeal. It adds a rich, satisfying flavor, boosts the protein content of your breakfast significantly, and transforms a bowl of oats into a genuinely filling meal that will keep you going until noon. The 5th and final item on our list costs less than $1. A small bag of lemons, 3 or 4 count, right in the produce section for about 99 cents. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Dr. Lee, lemons for belly fat? And I want to address that directly because I'm not going to oversell this. Lemons alone are not going to melt your belly fat. What they are is a powerful and affordable addition to a morning ritual that, in combination with the other 4 items on this list, can meaningfully support your body's fat-burning environment first thing in the morning. Here's the science. Lemons contain a class of polyphenols called hesperidin and areocitrin. Japanese researchers published a study in the Journal of Clinical Biochemistry and Nutrition, finding that these lemon polyphenols suppressed diet-induced obesity and fat accumulation in animal models. And follow-up research suggested mechanisms involving liver fat metabolism and gut microbiota modulation. But the morning ritual I'm recommending is simple. Take 1 lemon, squeeze it into 8 to 12 ounces of warm water, and drink it 20 minutes before your breakfast. Here's what that does physiologically. Warm water first thing in the morning helps rehydrate your body after 7 to 8 hours without fluids, and it gently activates your digestive system. The lemon adds vitamin C, which your body uses to synthesize carnitine, a compound required for transporting fatty acids into your cell's mitochondria to be burned as energy. And the mild acidity of lemon juice has been shown in research to slow gastric emptying, meaning it gently prolongs the time food stays in your stomach, reducing post-meal glucose spikes. At 99 cents for a week's supply, this is quite possibly the best return on investment item in your entire Kroger cart. Total cost check. Eggs, $2.49, plus frozen blueberries, $2.99, plus old-fashioned oats, $1.89, plus natural peanut butter, $2.29, plus lemons, $0.99, equals $10.65. Close enough to call it $10, and this will last you a full week of breakfasts, with some items lasting considerably longer. Now, let me show you exactly how to use these 5 items over the course of a week. I've designed this so that every single breakfast takes under 10 minutes to prepare, because I know that mornings over 60 should be calm, not chaotic. Every single morning, without exception. Start with warm lemon water. Squeeze half a lemon into 8 ounces of warm water, not boiling, just warm, and drink it about 20 minutes before you eat. This is your non-negotiable morning ritual. It costs you almost nothing, and it sets your digestive system up for the day ahead. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, egg mornings. Scramble 2 large eggs in a pan with just a touch of olive oil or a very small amount of butter. Season with black pepper, which, incidentally, contains a compound called piperine that enhances nutrient absorption. Serve alongside a half cup of thawed frozen blueberries. That's it. Done in under 5 minutes. High protein, high choline, high anthocyanins. Your belly fat doesn't stand a chance. Tuesday and Thursday, oat mornings. Cook half a cup of old-fashioned oats on the stovetop or in the microwave with water or unsweetened almond milk. Stir in 1 to 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter while the oats are still warm. It melts right in and adds a creamy, nutty flavor. Top with your thawed blueberries. This bowl gives you beta-glucan fiber, monounsaturated fat, protein, and anthocyanins all in one serving. It will keep you full for 4 to 5 hours. Saturday and Sunday, Dr. Lee's Power Bowl. This is where we combine everything. Cook your oats, stir in the peanut butter, add the blueberries, and alongside it, or stirred right in if you're feeling adventurous, add a soft scrambled egg. Squeeze a little fresh lemon juice over the top. It sounds unusual, but the flavor combination works beautifully, and nutritionally, this bowl is extraordinary. Protein, fiber, healthy fat, and antioxidants in one simple dish. A few important notes for everyone over 60. Portion sizes matter, but don't obsess over them. These are all low to moderate calorie foods with high satiety. Your body will guide you. And please, drink water throughout the morning. Mild dehydration, which is very common in older adults, can mimic hunger and cause unnecessary snacking. I want to share 2 stories with you, both from people over 60 who adopted a morning routine very similar to what I've outlined today. The first is Margaret, a 67-year-old retired school teacher from Ohio. Margaret came to me genuinely frustrated. She was on a fixed income, she had always assumed that eating healthy was expensive, and she had spent years skipping breakfast because she didn't know what to eat. When I showed her a plan based around eggs, oats, and frozen berries from her local grocery store, she was skeptical, but she gave it 3 weeks. At her next appointment, she told me her pants fit differently. Not dramatically, but noticeably. She'd lost 2 inches from her waistline and reported that her energy in the mornings had completely changed. "I don't crash at 10 o'clock anymore," she said. "I feel like myself again." The second story is Robert, a 71-year-old retired veteran from Georgia. Robert had been told by his primary care physician that his fasting blood glucose was creeping into pre-diabetic range, and that reducing visceral fat was the most important thing he could do for his long-term health. Robert was a meat and potatoes man. Breakfast had always meant bacon and white toast. Making the switch felt significant to him, but he committed to the egg and oat breakfast routine, along with the morning lemon water, for 4 weeks. His next lab work showed meaningful improvement in his fasting glucose, and his doctor commented on a visible reduction in his abdominal girth. These results aren't guaranteed for everyone, and they're not a replacement for medical care, but they are consistent with what the research tells us, and with what I've seen time and again when people make thoughtful, science-based choices about what they eat in the morning. Please always consult with your own physician before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you're managing any chronic conditions or taking medications. Before I let you go, I want to walk you through 3 items at Kroger that are commonly mistaken for healthy breakfast choices, and that I'd encourage you to walk right past. I'm not here to scare you or make grocery shopping feel stressful, but knowing what to avoid is just as important as knowing what to choose. Trap item number 1, flavored instant oatmeal packets. This one breaks my heart a little because the instinct to reach for oatmeal is absolutely right. The problem is the packets. Pick up a box of popular flavored instant oatmeal, maple brown sugar, apple cinnamon, any of them, and look at the nutrition label. You'll typically find 12 to 18 grams of added sugar per packet. That's a direct insulin spike, right in that vulnerable morning window we discussed. And the oats themselves are so finely processed that they digest almost as quickly as white bread. Stick to the plain, old-fashioned oats we already put in our cart. They cost half as much and work 10 times better. Trap item number 2, low-fat fruit yogurt. I see this in carts constantly, and I understand why. It's marketed aggressively as a healthy, low-fat option. But most commercial fruit yogurts, even light versions, contain 18 to 25 grams of sugar per serving. That sugar has to go somewhere, and for people over 60 with any degree of insulin resistance, a large portion of it gets directed toward fat storage. If you enjoy yogurt, look for plain Greek yogurt with no added sugar and add your own blueberries. Trap item number 3, whole grain breakfast cereals. The word whole grain on a cereal box is one of the most effective pieces of marketing ever created. Many whole grain cereals have a glycemic index comparable to white rice. They cause rapid blood sugar spikes, provide minimal satiety, and leave most people hungry again within 90 minutes. The fiber content is real, but it's not enough to offset the carbohydrate load for someone managing belly fat after 60. Let me bring this all together. For just about $10 at Kroger, you can build a full week of breakfasts that are scientifically designed to fight visceral fat, stabilize your blood sugar, reduce chronic inflammation, and support your energy and metabolism, all starting from your very first meal of the day. Here's your shopping list one more time. Kroger large eggs, 12 count, about $2.49. Simple Truth frozen blueberries, 12 ounces, about $2.99. Kroger old-fashioned oats, 42 ounces, about $1.89. Simple Truth natural peanut butter, 16 ounces, about $2.29. Lemons, 3 to 4 pack, about $0.99. That's it. 5 items, one purpose, 7 days of mornings that work for your body. I want to ask you something before you go. Of these 5 items, how many do you already have in your kitchen right now? Tell me in the comments below. I read every one of them, and I'd love to know where you're starting from. If this video was helpful to you, please subscribe to Aging Strong Together. Every week, I bring you science-backed strategies for living stronger, leaner, and healthier in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. And stay tuned. Next week, we're heading to Walmart to find out which 5 lunch items under $10 pair perfectly with this breakfast plan to keep you burning fat all the way through the afternoon. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week.